Thank you for staying tuned. I am Tolu Lokpe Ogunjobi. The Central Bank of Nigeria has again maintained all current monetary policy rates unchanged. CBN Governor Godwin Emefiele disclosed this at the Monetary Policy Committee meeting held in Abuja. Emefiele said after tough debates and deliberations on advice from experts, the committee voted to retain all current monetary policy rates as it forms part of the factors that led the country out of recession. He added that the interest rate will be retained at 14%, cash reserve ratio at 22.5%, and liquidity ratio at 30%.
The committee decided by a vote of 6-1 to retain the monetary policy rate, MPR, at 14% alongside all other policy parameters. In arriving at this hold decision, the MPC commits to employing maximum flexibility to guide the economy on the path of optimal growth. Consequently, 6 members voted to retain MPR and all other parameters at their current levels, while 1 member voted to lower the MPR to signal an ease to the current stance of tight monetary policy. However, overall, majority of the members expressed a strong commitment to policy flexibility that would allow the committee to promptly take the necessary actions that would promote overall macroeconomic stability and engender sustainable growth.
Now, Osilama Okofo is an economist and management consultant. He joins me in the studio now to look more at the decision of the just concluded MPC meeting. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Well, it's been maintained. It's no more news,
yes,
but many analysts expected this. With the fundamentals on ground, what do you make of retaining these rates at 14% and 22.5% and 30%?
I actually had a session with you yesterday, and I predicted this, essentially because the headwinds that were the considerations which led to last quarter's position, they hadn't changed. What the MPC looked at then were essentially the fiscal issues in the United States of America, the fiscal instability, the election coming up in Germany, and then the Brexit issue. Those are the external factors. And of course, there was expectation that the federal government would have embarked on massive infrastructural development, which would have, to a large extent, pumped in a lot of liquidity within the system. Now, like I said, those headwinds, they didn't change. Donald Trump has not built his wall. He's still currently fighting with, not Korea. He's fighting on Twitter with athletes in the United States of America. The election has taken place finally in Germany, and it has even thrown up a bigger challenge. Angela Merkel's government is weakened, and for the first time in 59 years, a far-right party has gotten seat in the Bundestag, which is the German legislature. The Brexit issue is as contentious as it was. Even today, Donald Tusk met with Mrs. May at 10 Downing, and the outcome was fleshing up the proposals you came up with in Italy when you went to address the EU. So those issues were still on ground. Now, internally, just a few days ago, the governor of Edo State lamented the very deplorable state of the Benin-Auchi-Ekpoma road, which shows that no work is going on. And I want to use that as a reference point to say nothing is going on nationwide. So I knew for certainty that the rates will not change. It's good news for Nigeria. It's good news for investors because it shows stability. No economy thrives in an atmosphere of uncertainty. What this essentially means is, we've attained a high level of what we call it, referred to in economics as rational expectations, not adaptive, right? Okay. No, but like I pointed out yesterday too, the rates are not the only issues, the only issue we need to look at. It's good enough, right? But when investors want to take buy-in decisions or investing decisions in an economy, they look at what we refer to as a PESO analysis. You look at the political factor, the economic factor of which rate is subsumed. You look at the socio-cultural factors, you look at the technological factor, the legal environment and the environmental issues. These are the things they put into cognizance before they take a buy-in decision or the bulk.
Okay, this takes me to my next question. This fragile growth, which
Yeah.
we all, that's a submission from many that we have this fragile kind of growth, 0.55%, that's at that second quarter of 2017. But away from all this, let's look at some of these sectors. Agriculture seems to be doing well now. Industry, construction, we still have a little bit of hike in the percentage points. What do you make of
Agriculture
all of
has been doing well now for a very long time.
But
Agriculture did very well under the present president of the African
FDB.
Development Bank. I mean, that is given. Construction, no. I mean, I just told you about what the governor of Edo State lamented. That road is impassable. So the expectation was a lot of infrastructural development was going to take place. I mean, those issues were captured within the budget. We don't see them at play. Manufacturing subsector, let's face it, the banks are not really lending because there's liquidity squeeze, which brings us to the monetary policy regime. It is structured in such a way that it is contractionary. Yeah, it's not expansionary. 14% is high. Now, 14% is the base rate. Now, when the banks borrow from the central bank at 14%, of course, they'll add their own to it before they lend to their customers. You know, so essentially, you're looking at between 22 to 27%, depending on who the customer is and the sector that the customer plays. So it's not cheap. So it's contractionary. And I have a problem with that. We are an emerging economy. We are a growing economy. How do you grow when you contract? I'm not putting the feet of the central bank to the fire. They are doing the best they can. The challenge I see and the problem I have is that the fiscal leg of the macroeconomy is slipping. What we need to do essentially is to drive the economic growth from that perspective. At several fora, I've had to, suggest that we should look at what Brazil did within a 30-year period of 1980 to 2010. That was a period that what you see in Brazil today really manifested, especially during the Lula da Silva's regime. There was massive infrastructural development. The things you see in Brasilia, you see in Rio de Janeiro today, they're not up to 40 years old. What they did was to focus more on the fiscal leg and less on the monetary leg. There were months in Brazil where inflation was up to 6,000%. And within that 30-year period, the average was over 400%. But today, the rate of interest and inflation in Brazil, or the inflation rate in Brazil today is single digit. But look at the development that took place in that economy. Over time, it will balance out.
I'm worried about the economic growth and recovery plan. This is supposed to be a document that will help us also weather this storm. But we need to take a break now, and we'll be back on Sit as a Talk.
Thank you.
Well, let's take a break now and be back with more on the show. This is Business Tonight, and I still have Osilama Okofo with me here, an economist, giving insights into issues surrounding the retention of the NPR rates and all of that. Now, as we round up this, the Economic Growth and Recovery Plan is a document that's supposed to take us out of all of this, the doldrums and the challenges which we face in the country. How implementable do you think this document is? A lot of projections, beautiful figures, and all of that.
A budget, which is like a plan, is a guide to an action. So yeah, like I've adverted to before, it's a beautiful budget, it's a beautiful document, but essentially the issue has got to do with implementation. That's where we usually have our challenges. And like I said earlier, macroeconomics is divided into monetary and fiscal. The fiscal leg is very essential for us at this stage in our developmental lives. And right now, it's not performing. So, and if that doesn't happen, if there's no synergy between that leg and the monetary leg, we'll just be hobbling. And that's what's happening right now.
I must thank you, Silako, for that's what we can take for now. And economist giving his views. Thank you very much for joining us on Business
Thanks for
Tonight.
having me.